Going.
Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to the Waking Up Spiritually podcast. I'm Wendy Rose Williams, and I am a past life energy healer. I help people release energy that does not serve them anymore. Things like chronic physical and emotional pain, anxiety, depression being some of the top examples. And my website is wendyrosewilliams.com, and you're able to request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment from me there to see if I might be of service to you. And I'm going to ask my co-host, Gregg Kirk, to please introduce himself as well as today's topic. But again, a warm welcome, and we're so glad you're here with us at our new time. We have a new format now, and we're going to be a monthly podcast on Mondays.
Thank you, Wendy. My name is Gregg Kirk. My website is greggkirk.com, and that's spelled GREGGKIRK.com. I'm an energy and light worker. I do online group healing circles. We do monthly fire circles in person, and I do hands-on healing, a form of Reiki, but also do remote sessions all over the world for people who are looking for removals to either their spiritual enlightenment or their physical health. So come check me out at greggkirk.com and click on the events link if you want to join our online group healing circles, which are only $20, and they're every Sunday at noon Eastern time. So today is kind of a special episode today. Not only is it special because of the timing and we're going into a new format, but Wendy and I are talking about some things that are kind of near and dear to us. Paranormal experiences. We both had our share, and we also have, friends and close friends, Facebook friends, etc., who have had pretty amazing experiences that we'd like to share.
And clients too.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. And the purpose of this session today is to really normalize these experiences, because let's face it, everybody's having them. Almost everybody's having some level of paranormal or supernatural experience. And, it can bring up some things that are really kind of unnecessary, like fear, and for the most part, unless you're experiencing some kind of spiritual attack or something like that, or a ghost attack or something. These things are actually very pleasant experiences. The ones that we're showing today are very fascinating and pleasant. That's the majority of them are like that. And there's no reason to fear many of these things. And in fact, the more we talk about them, the more we experience them, and the more it's okay. So let me get going here on the sharing. And we've put together
That's a great viewpoint, Gregg, because I think when experiences happen to us the first time, they can just be so confusing and off-putting, and it can seem negative at first or frightening just because we don't know what to make of it. We don't have a frame of reference. Right. So that's what we want to do today is help provide some of that frame of reference for those paranormal experiences.
Right.
And it's funny, when I first sat down to write my examples, Gregg, I had a blank mind, because I've had so many that I don't even think of them as paranormal or supernatural anymore. I just think of them as being an energetic being, which we all are. And I just think of them as ways of connecting with the divine.
Right.
So it was funny how at first it was like a blank for me.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. There's too many so I had to kind of weed out the ones that I thought were more, definitive with photographs and videos and things like that. And, it's one thing to describe. You and I spend a good amount of time describing our experiences, but today it's about physically showing, here's some photographs from, friends have taken or we've taken, or and videos and things. And let's just jump right into it, Wendy.
Exactly. And for those of you who are listening and not able to look at the PowerPoint, not able to look at the screen, this is one of those episodes where I definitely invite you to go to our website at wakingupspiritually.com to look for today's episode, June 20th, to be able to see what we're going to describe to you, or go to our YouTube channel and you'll be able to see that at that location.
Great
So
suggestion.
let's just start with a definition. What do you consider paranormal? So some of the things that came to mind for me is something that's mystical, and that's a perfect description of the paranormal. Supernatural. That was one of the things you said right out of the gate, Gregg. Beyond the scope of current scientific understanding, and I'm stressing the word current because science is evolving all the time, as it should be, as is our understanding of ourselves and the planet and the divine. So it's all a wonderful work in progress. And you can also consider the paranormal extraordinary events, experiences, or abilities. So that's my definition and a little bit of framework for this. Anything to add to that, Gregg?
I agree with everything you said.
And this is why we've podcasted together for 2 years.
Right.
Yes, we see some things differently too and bring different frames of reference.
Right.
So I've had some really interesting experiences with the white light. I think of the white light as being that healing light of home. I think of it as being the matter that the universe is comprised of. And what you're seeing in this first photo, and it's just to describe it to those of you who can't see it yet, it's like a sunburst almost, and just all these white light rays. And then you can see in the background of it a butterfly that's flying, and it might look like it's upside down. So what this was, I was doing a session with a client. So you have to have the context for this. So we're doing this wonderful healing session for 2.5 hours via Zoom. And he was using his phone and he was having trouble turning off the video portion. So it was quite interesting because normally we just sign on with video to, put a name with a face, and then we go to audio only. So I'm normally not seeing people or seeing their room, but it was literally as he was getting this big healing, and we were talking about raising our vibration and frequency and going up to the light and going home. And all of a sudden, all this light just like burst into his room. So this not great quality photo is me taking I just grabbed my phone off my desk and took a picture of my computer screen because I just thought it was so neat right as we were literally talking about that and working with that. And what the butterfly is, it's a photo collage that he has on his ceiling. So, but then just to see all that white light. And then the middle photo is my sweet kitty cat. Actually, he says he was spicy. My spicy cat, Midnight, who was such a healing cat. He was with me for 20 years and here in so many of these broadcasts and so many of my sessions. And the moment I would like lay out crystals or get out an anatomy chart or be getting out client records, Midnight could not wait to lay on them. I mean, he was just so drawn to the healing energy because he was a healing cat. So that's what this middle photo is. And then there's a photo in the upper right corner, which is in my front yard, right by my front porch. And it's a big cobalt blue flower pot, which had flowers in it. And I took a picture of it because a friend who's very connected to the Fae, to the fairies, she had told me that they wanted some pink and white flowers. So I thought, okay, that's fine. I can look for some pink and white flowers. So that's what I planted in this pot. And then as I took the photo, I was like, what is that? I could like feel a little bit of like flutter, like a little bit of motion. And what you see above it is the fairies. It's just like this stream of white light motion right above the flowers. And I don't yet see fairies with the naked eye, but my friend Marjorie O'Meara does. And she said, "Oh, Wendy, that's fairies. There's like fairies everywhere in that little stream of light. They're just so happy that you got the message that they wanted some pink and white flowers in that flower pot, and they were just like all dancing over it." So I thought that was just a really neat experience. The photo in the bottom right is it's a little bureau and nightstand that I used to have in my bedroom, and it was pitch black at night. Is the middle of the night. I'm sound asleep, and I'm woken up by my guides, and they said, "Take a picture of that." And I'm like not really awake, and I'm very groggy. I'm like, "Take a picture of what? What are you waking me up for?" So I didn't even fully sit up in bed. I just grabbed my phone that was on the nightstand, and the only light that was on in the room was this little tea light was burning on the bureau. I had a statue and a few crystals out on this small bureau. And when I woke up in the morning, I was like, "Did I take a picture during the middle of the night? What was that about?" So I grab my phone, and what I discover is the white light of home was coming in and was increasing in my home. This is not my thumb over the corner of the camera. That looks different. I've done that before, and that's not what that looks like. So it's like this bowed, it looks almost like a moon. But as I said, there was no other light in the room except this tiny tea light. So I asked my guides, "Well, what's the meaning of this?" They said, "We just thought you'd get a thrill out of seeing you're attracting and working with more and more white light. So we woke you up and said, take a picture of that so that you could have a photograph of the white light of home." How cool is that?
Amazing.
So that's what happened there. And I just wanted to recap some paranormal experiences I've had that have been deeply meaningful. In 1997, I had a near death experience, which I recapped in full in another episode. And I was pregnant at the time with my youngest daughter. And I actually had two NDEs in that week. But to be, what happened in short was an aorta burst. I was home alone. It was the aorta at the top of my uterus, and I was newly pregnant. I was 10 weeks pregnant. So to have an aorta burst is very serious because I was suddenly losing this just large amount of blood. And I'm home alone, and I passed out on the bathroom floor. And the only reason I came to was this insistent male voice kept saying, "Wendy, Wendy, you've got to wake up. You've got to call for help now, or you're going to go home." And I knew exactly what that angel meant. I was just so shocked to come to on the bathroom floor. I was laying on my side, and to just see my bathroom so lit up with these three or four angels that were just huge, and the amount of light off them was incredible. And to see them just floating off the floor. But to be able to start to hear Archangel Michael and other angels so clearly, that has absolutely changed my life. It took years of working with it to get comfortable with it and to not feel like, oh my goodness, what is this? Am I worthy of this? Is this an ego trick? What's really going on? It took years of working with it. But by 2010, when I read Journey of Souls and things started to normalize for me and I started to really open spiritually, at that point, I realized that's just one of my greatest gifts is I have wonderful clairaudience. I'm able to hear the divine very, very clearly and very, very accurately. So that's just one of my favorite paranormal experiences. And again, you can hear how that had to normalize because when it first started happening in 1997, it was pretty it was pretty overwhelming, and even frightening at times. I think that's why there's so much recorded history in the Bible and other places of when people first see angels, the angels often say, "Do not be afraid." Because people can feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not supposed to see this, or I must be dead or dying, or what's going on here. This is just too much for me. So again, normalizing. And then in 2013, I had an incredible experience with my first spiritual teacher. And this was the first time I had worked with a spiritual teacher. I was having a lot of uh, energetic experiences that I did not understand, that I was not enjoying, was having terrific problems in normalizing them because I didn't know how to ground my energy. I didn't know how to clear my energy. I didn't know how to raise my vibration. And I'd been waking up since 2010. So it had been 3 years of really kind of floundering. So I was referred by a lovely friend to contact the spiritual teacher. And I had scheduled my first session with her. And what was starting to happen was past lives were coming through in just so much intensity, so much speed, so much specificity, but I didn't know how to work with them. So I was really being run over by all these past life memories and recall and a lot of trauma, and just didn't know what to do with it. So a friend recommended that I contact the spiritual teacher, and I was also having a lot of issues with ghosts because again, I just didn't know what to do with those energy beings either. And so I booked the appointment, but the appointment's not for about 10 days. And frankly, I was just a hot mess waiting for that appointment, just trying to put one foot in front of the other and go to work every day and take care of my kids and my house and my animals, and really, really was struggling. So what happened was once I booked that appointment, I wake up toward morning, like maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, and I wake up because there is this huge white glowing orb, like beach ball size, right above my bed. And it's like to the right side. And I'm just looking at, and you like kind of like literally rub your eyes, you like pinch your arm, like, am I really awake? What is going on here? And I could hear this sweet voice from it. And I could hear this woman, a spiritual teacher, introducing herself and saying, Wendy, this is Robin. I know we've got an appointment scheduled, but you need help now. So I'm going to start helping you now, and then we'll have our session in 10 days or so. So I'm not only seeing this white glowing orb that's blowing my mind, I'm having a conversation with it. And just thinking, how can this be? What is going on? So this went on for about 10 minutes, and I could just feel this like gentle energy coming to me. And I felt like she was starting to lift things and remove things and just place more helpful energy there. It was just absolutely wild because I'd never even heard of such a thing. I'd never read about such a thing. I did not know any of this was possible. So, of course, my first question to her when we did get on the phone 10 days later for my healing session, I had written down the date. I had noted the date and time in my phone or in my calendar or something. So when I got on the phone with her, I said, were you meditating or doing something to help me back on such and such a date at such and such a time? And she said, yes. How did you know that? Now that you say that, what I remember was I got woken up during the night, and I got up really early and just started meditating. And my guide said, you really needed help. So I started meditating on your behalf. And I said, well, you were in my bedroom. And she said, wait a minute, you could see me and hear me? She's down in California. I'm in Seattle. Never had an experience like this, but what a connection that was. So that was just really, really incredible. And then another major paranormal experience that I've had. And please check out my second book, The Flow One, Plymouth Plantation, because it's all about helping a ghost get home, a ghost from the 1600s that did not want to go home and was super stubborn about it, was just really stuck in her heartbreak and didn't understand what had happened during her life, and didn't understand the importance of going up to the light. And once I got her to the light, oh my gosh, did I feel better? Did I do better? Did it change my life? But it was like it put out this clarion call, and ghosts started coming to me by the hundreds, if not thousands. And I actually had to go to another healer and say, please help me, because I feel like I'm getting knocked over by ghosts all the time. And I don't understand why they're coming to me. So she looked at it and she said, oh, they know that you know how to help ghosts cross over. But I agree, this is too overwhelming and this is not appropriate. That's not your full-time job. So she called in some angels and she called in some assistants, and for others to be around me in case more of those ghosts started coming in. And then the angels would just help them and take them, so that it wasn't just knocking me over, because it really was, it was very uncomfortable, because there were so many of them and I just didn't know how to sort it all out. I have occasionally helped ghosts cross over to the light when it's a specific ghost that I am meant to work with, versus just others who can be helped by others equally well. I had an experience with that in my former office, and I got to work really early one morning. It's like 6:45, and I just walk in through the lobby, and I see to my left this teenage girl. And it's very early in the morning, and she's just got like her black hoodie pulled up like around her face, and she's like sitting hunched over in the corner of the room. And I thought, oh, that must be, so and so's daughter. She must have, come with her to work for some reason, waiting for a bus or a ride to school or whatever. And I didn't think any more about it. I just thought, a teenage girl there in the lobby. And I walk into my office, and the minute I sat my purse and briefcase down on the desk, my guides started talking to me. They said, Wendy, yes, there's a girl in the lobby, but you need to go out and help her cross over and help her get home, because she doesn't have a body. She's not actually living anymore. So I walked back in the lobby, and at that point I couldn't see her anymore, but I just went in my office and just focused and helped her cross over to the light, because that one specifically was one meant for me to help with. But she was just clear as day. And like I said, I thought it was the teenage daughter of a coworker.
Wow.
It didn't cross my mind at first that she was a ghost who needed some help. So those are just some of my experiences.
Thank you, Wendy. Like you,
Absolutely.
I've had quite a few, and I didn't know what to share today. I mean, I share a lot of them in my book, The Gratitude Curve, so you can read about those. But I'll just share two quick ones here. One very quick one, but a couple of years ago, I was doing healing at a wellness center in the middle of Connecticut, and one of the people I started helping was a very, very infirm Lyme patient who was really on his way out. He was in a wheelchair. He couldn't speak. I managed to help give him a little bit more visibility, or not visibility, mobility. But, and he was responding to energy treatments. But 1 week when I hadn't seen him, he had some ports for IV antibiotics, and one of the ports got infected, and he went septic, and he quickly declined and died within about 2 weeks. So I was in touch with,
because sepsis is an infection of the bloodstream, correct? So that's the whole body.
Yeah. So, I was in touch with his father. His father's such a nice guy, and and he took on this burden of this son. He was almost full-time care for his son, and the mother had just kind of abandoned those two. He lived with his other son, and the two sons didn't quite get along, but anyway, so this happened. And I told the father, I said, listen, you deserve a free energy session, after this. Like, I kept saying it to him when I was helping his son, but he said, no, I want all, I don't have much money, and I want to, dedicate it all towards my son. So anyway, he came in, and then he brought his other son, who had kind of been at odds with the son who had just died. I did sessions on both of them. And an amazing thing that happened was, on the session with the other son, Jake is the son's name who passed. He came in and he gave, and I knew that these two brothers didn't get along. So I just kind of put it out there to him, like, do you have like a happy memory that you want to share with your brother? And he, out of the blue, talked about, like, they had gone out on a double date together when they were younger with these two girls from another town, and they were kind of loose girls, and they had fun with them, kind of an edgy story. But, this all came through. And as it came through, I wasn't quite sure I was getting it. So I mentioned it to Jake's brother, and he said, oh my God, yes, yes, that did happen. And that was a good memory that we had. So anyway, we ended that session. The father was out in the lobby. We walk out of the healing room. The room has this electronic lock on it that, doesn't ever make any noise until you set it at night. You put like an alarm thing on it. As we're walking out of the room, the alarm lock starts beeping and going crazy. Then there's a crystal bed session going on in another room that's open. Now, crystal bed is something that has crystals over each of the chakra points. It's like on this contraption, and it's only the color of the chakra, so it's purple at the top and it goes all the way down to red, at the end. As we walked out, and as soon as we heard that beeping, the woman who was running the crystal bed told us that all of a sudden the lights started cycling and changing colors, which is impossible. So in other words, the red light changed to green and yellow, and it's impossible for this to happen. And it started cycling through. So we all were just stunned, like, what was that? And I knew it was Jake. He just wanted to say, hey, here I am. See you later. So we all witnessed it. So there was 5 people who saw that happen. So
I love how those on the other side can impact electronics like that.
Big time. Yeah, it was a dramatic thing. And it just happened just last week. So I was in my office. So I have an office that we've disabled the fluorescent lights that are above us, those awful fluorescent lights that are in office buildings. So we've disconnected them. So I'm having a discussion with a patient, and we were talking about something, and we were both talking about how sometimes people are not ready to be healed, even when you try to help somebody and you know how to help them, sometimes they're resistant to it. So the best thing you can do is actually back off and just give them some information laid at their feet, but you have to back off. And as soon as I said something about my particular situation that was happening, the light flashed above my head. It's never happened before.
The disconnected light.
Disconnected light flashed twice real quick, and it was unmistakable. My guide saying, yes, Gregg, you get it. You got to back off sometimes. You're not here to heal you're not here to even try to heal every single person you meet. You got to respect people where they are and what they're capable or ready for,
Well,
so
it's a free will violation in a sense
to
be trying to, it's our ego that we think someone should be a certain way.
Right. And that's exactly what I was explaining to this person. But then I said that I noticed that when you do back off and when you just let the other person be for a bit, sometimes they do come around. And as soon as I said more or less those words, the light literally flashed, above my head. So that was just really cool. That happened last Wednesday. So that was a cool thing. So let me share a couple of photos with you that were taken in Brazil. So again, you can read my book about more detailed supernatural experiences that happened with me when I went down to a healing center in Brazil. We're down there, and a group of us were there to be healed by a healer named John of God. You can read about that on my website. He's had legal trouble. He's out of the healing business right now, but he healed a lot of people, including me, and he was able to attract hundreds of thousands of positive healing beings. So it was a common thing for us when we were down there to eat dinner down there in our posada, our hotel, and then walk out and just start taking, flash photos into the darkness, because everybody said down there's so many orbs, you're bound to get a couple of shots, just not even trying. And unfortunately, I don't have the most spectacular one I've ever seen, where it was such a cloud of orbs that it distorts the the viewfinder in the camera. Like there's probably, I don't know, 500 orbs in one shot, and it just blurs the camera out. Looks like you're trying to take a picture of a cloud. But anyway, these shots here, you can see on the left, a fence with some cactus and some trees, and I don't know, there's close to a dozen orbs there. The one to the upper right so orbs tend to be spherical, but not always. You can see the one to the upper right is in a pentagonal shape, five-sided pentagon. And then the one—
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen anything but round.
Right, exactly. So there's some different shaped orbs. And of course, the one down at the bottom is pretty much a classic orb, with the kind of the spiral or the core, core shape. So let me move on. So orbs are pretty, we've got dozens and dozens of photographs, my wife and I, of orb shots. But have you ever heard of energy tubes? So these are very—
No, I have not.
Yeah, so these are not orbs, these are actual tubes. So this is a shot in a friend of mine's front yard where he was out. He saw these things with the naked eye. So down below, he calls the one on the lower right a ribbon. The one above it clearly looks like a tube. And then the one next to the pickup truck to the left is a tube that's starting to move. But if you look on the back, near the back tire of the pickup truck, it looks like a ladder. Like, I don't even know what that thing is. Do you see that?
That's not a physical item. That's light.
Yes.
I thought that was like lattice work.
No, this thing was flying around. And again, this guy could see these things with his naked eye. So he just got his camera out. And I mean, look how close
was he a healer, or was he doing anything that he knew of to attract these?
Well, part of it is, he's able to pick up on energies, but he lived in a supernatural place, in a more or less a vortex, or and that's— I'm going to show some videos later on. One of our listeners actually has shared with us. Apparently, there's a portal in his house where these positive beings come in. They just cascade into his place. But yeah, fascinating stuff. I'd never heard of this particular type of, orbs. I've heard all over the place and seen. There's even a video I rented back when you could rent videos years ago, of an entire documentary about orbs. But the energy tube stuff. So other friends of mine have taken shots. Check this out. Energy tubes showed up. Remember the last lunar eclipse? Look at these energy tubes in the lower. So the top one is a picture, kind of a cloudy shot of the moon going into eclipse, but next to it are some energy tubes that people shot They were not they were just taking pictures of the eclipse, and they got these energy tubes. I've seen.
Could they see them with the naked eye, or did they find
Yes.
them to their surprise on the viewfinder?
No, they saw them. So more than I've seen more than, so this is just one set of shots that I'm sharing, but a couple of people, I'd say 6 people I know took similar shots. So pretty fascinating. Not sure what the energy tubes had to do with the last full moon and lunar eclipse, but we've been having.
I'd be so interested if the individuals involved, if they're able to meditate and talk with their higher selves and guides as being like the most direct person involved, to learn, well, what does that mean? What is this about? What's going on?
Right. I
Or
know.
to do a session with someone like us where we can, go back to that moment in time and learn what was the meaning of this? What's the importance of it? What are we seeing? Because it's fascinating.
It is. So here's a personal one. The woman on the left is a friend of my wife and me. And if you look closely, she's pregnant, sitting on a park bench. And if you look around her, there's this strange, iridescent, almost rainbow glow around her, starting at her feet. And
I see it.
She's like encased in an orb. So she was pregnant with her daughter. Her daughter was in her womb at that point. I don't know how many months pregnant, maybe 4 or 5. So she shared that with us.
I also see, that's so cool. I also see a being to the left between the trees that are angled together, where there's 3. I see like a wood sprite or something there. It's like a green man figure toward the lower left. He's facing to the left. You can see his face, his body. One arm is up, one arm is down. You can see his hair. Do you see him?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't highlight it for you on the screen. I don't know how to point it out to
So,
you.
can you
Right
see
there.
Kirk?
Yes.
You're talking about him?
Right there.
Yeah, that's wow. Yeah.
There's a definite being there.
Yeah. Wow. I never noticed that. Well, she pointed out, she sent me a photo, and I was going to share it, but since then I've gotten an even better photo of her daughter. This shape here is in the shape of her daughter's face. Her daughter has a specific, chin that kind of comes down to a point like that. But here's her daughter, after she was born, when she's maybe 5, 6 years old. And look at this very bright yellow orb up here.
Oh, wow. Inside in the mall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's lovely.
Yeah.
And it's more unusual to see colored orbs like that.
I know. Yes, that's why I shared it.
Really neat.
Right. So these are recent shots. The one on the left is shared by a friend who is in Arizona, and these are in the old days we called these UFOs. They're starting to call them UAPs now, unidentified aerial phenomenon. So whatever you want to call them, I still call them UFOs. But look at the multiple UFOs. One here, one here, one here, and one here. Oh, there's another one below that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
Also, now also in Arizona, I just want to share this tight cloud structure because this is unusual. You usually see this type of cloud structure over like a mountain. And people in the ufology world claim that when you see a very unusual cloud that's just sticking out like a sore thumb like this, that shouldn't be shaped this way, that doesn't belong here, is actually a cloaking device.
I was going to say it's a masking device. It's cloaking.
It is. Yeah, it's cloaking of like a massive mothership. So I thought this was the best example of one of those types of clouds I've ever seen. And you can see the crack in the windshield and the dirty windshield, bird poop and stuff on the windshield. So this is no retouched.
No filtering going on here. It's our real photography.
Yeah, right, exactly. Who would keep bird poop on their UFO shots? And this last one is really, really high quality. So I want to share this one with you. So this is in Portsmouth, UK. And you can see very clearly a triangular craft. And this is a particular type of craft that you see on the left, that there is actually a US patent. And here's the US patent number. You can look this up. And so I just want to say one thing real quickly, that if you have ever read the Law of One books, I don't remember which book it was, probably book three or four. In the book, the people who are interviewing and interrogating the raw beings ask, Don Elkins was a well-known ufologist. So it didn't take him long before he's asking the raw beings, what about UFOs? What are these craft? And the answer surprised him so much that he didn't believe them. This is the only time that he, just rejected what the raw beings said, because the raw beings said this. Well, they asked, what's the origin of the crafts we're calling UFO in the sky? The answer was 80% of it is from your planet. 80% of the UFOs that we see in the sky, their origin is the Earth. They're made on Earth. And he didn't believe it. And this was in 1985.
Implying what? That
they're military.
we're trying to
military
fly to other planets and other locations?
It didn't imply anything. They basically said they were made on Earth. And they said of what purpose? And they said they're more or less weapons. Yeah. So just to back that up, here's a US patent of the triangular craft. So this one here is probably, man-made, but the other ones that I showed earlier, probably not, because
right, the others feel and look very different.
Exactly. And now more and more people are starting to see very unusual UFO activity where, they'll start to see a light in the sky and it looks like it's giving birth to 5 or 6 other craft, and they move around and they scatter and then they come back together. I mean, that's mind-boggling stuff. Mm-hmm. So I want to just take
very interesting.
I want to take a break and show some video real quick. Like I said, from one of our.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
And then I have one quick announcement before we wrap.
Okay. So I'm going to show maybe 2 or 3 videos of, this is taken in a person's house. They've got, in-home security cameras. They started noticing activity taking place in particular rooms. This is probably the most spectacular set of orbs I've ever seen. So let me start. There's, I would say, a cascade starts at about the 15-second mark. So let me just share this. And can you see that okay, Wendy?
Not yet.
You're not seeing the video?
I am not. I'm seeing the final slide.
Okay. Oh, right. Of course. Okay. So, sorry.
You have to change the view or something?
I do. So I'm going to stop share, and then I'm going to share screen. Here we go. Can you see it now?
Now I see living room scene.
Yes.
Portal.
Right. So take a look, and pretty soon you're going to see a bunch of orbs moving by. You're starting to see some things now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's like a meteor shower of orbs.
Like a cascade. Like you're looking at
So this was just the in-home security system just captured this?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, this looks like, a portal where all of a sudden, hundreds of beings just came in.
I was going to say, orb party.
Right. Well, speaking of that, the orbs tend to like when there is his dog. in the room. And you'll see down in the lower area, his dog will run by here in just a second, but you can see the orbs flying around there. His dog is down in the lower portion of the screen. You'll start to see he runs by really fast. But when he's playing catch with his dog, the orbs just dance around them, as you can see now. Very cute. Yeah.
That's great.
Now, one last one I want to show you. He decided he wanted to communicate with these beings. So he put a little sticky note that said, "Thank you." And he put it right next to the camera. So you can't see the note, but it's facing outward. So let me show you that one. It's pretty distinct. You see that? They're making circles and spirals. I'll show it again. Yeah, I'll show it one more time. So watch how they do this spiral around the note there.
Oh, wow. Like zing down to it and then go up from it.
Yeah, kind of do a loop-de-loop.
That's
so cool.
Great.
Okay, so
Very interesting.
So let me just share get back to our.
Well, thank you for that amazing photos and stories, Gregg. So while Gregg brings up our final screen here, I just wanted to let everybody know one of my favorite books, first-person account of past life regression session, is called Portrait of a Past Life Skeptic, written by former police captain Robert Snow. And he just had an incredible past life regression, just was so multi-sensory. And he thought it was a bunch of hooey, just did not believe that past lives were possible. Homicide detective, let's just have the facts kind of person.
Right.
And he ended up researching his own past life regression as if it were a case. So highly recommend this book. And on Thursday, July 28th, from 4 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific, it's my pleasure. I'm going to have Bob Snow with me live, and we're going to do a Zoom workshop where he's going to share his story. And highly encourage people, you will see an invite coming from me, or you can email me at wendy@wendyrosewilliams.com, and I'll send you the events. You can sign up for it. It'll be on my website and all that good stuff. But come join us and read the book first, because you'll have an opportunity to ask Bob, how and why did you have this session, and what happened? Because some of the highlights were, once he was able to discover who he had been, which was this obscure obscure portrait painter in New York City, hence the excellent title, Portrait of a Past Life Skeptic. Once he found out that name, he was able to discover his own diary that he had written 150 years previous, or whatever the time interval was. And that's how he was able to prove or disprove the 38 provable facts that he wrote down from his past life regression, because he worked it like a case. And he tells a really good story. And this was all pre-internet days. So there just wasn't, influencing from that. And he didn't know who this artist was. This was an obscure portrait painter. So for him to have described this certain portrait that he had seen himself sketching and drawing and painting, and then to actually find that portrait, that's how he discovered what the name had been. So it's just really a fascinating case that only a police detective could tell. So invite you to join me for that. And again, that date is Thursday, July 28th, from 4 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And it will be on Zoom. There's no charge for it. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. So it'll be a combination past life sharing, as well as a book club. But we get to have the author there and actually ask him questions.
Awesome. So cool.
So please join us. In conclusion for today, please join us Monday, July. Let me just move our little pictures because it's right over the date here. July 25th at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, for our next monthly Waking Up Spiritually podcast. please go to wakingupspiritually.com and you can click on the broadcast tab, and there you can find all the PowerPoints and all the previous shows. There's almost 50 episodes there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got the link for that. And we'd so appreciate you rating and reviewing us on Apple iTunes and the other podcast apps where we are listed. You can search for Waking Up Spiritually. And that just helps other people be able to find us. And you can visit Gregg at Gregg, Gregg, Kirk.com, and check out the gratitude curve here, there. Check out his book, and you'll be able to purchase it. And Gregg's got a chapter in there too, which is a past life regression session with me. So that's like a neat crossover between the work the two of us have done. I highly recommend sessions with Gregg. I've had many sessions with him that have just really, really been so wonderful. And please visit me at my website, which is wendyrosewilliams.com. And that's where you can request your complimentary 15-minute phone appointment with me to see if I can be of service to you via healing services that are grounded in hypnotherapy. I trained with Dr. Brian Weiss, among others, and I, like Gregg, am also a Reiki master energy healer, and I'm a certified spiritual teacher too. So thank you for joining us. We so loved having you here. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.